Hey class, Mr. Williams here with the Chapter 2 review skills, so that way you guys can understand and study a few of the skills that we've gone over in preparation for our test on Wednesday. Chapter 2, which talked a lot about fractions, multiplying fractions, dividing fractions, multiplying mixed numbers, also dividing mixed numbers. So I want to go through a few of the skills in which we talked about, just some like a review, so that way everybody understands what we need to be doing. And that way on Wednesday when you come in, you're prepared to be able to ace that test. All right, you ready? Let's go. So Chapter 2 review skills. So one of the first skills that we actually did, we took a look at comparing fractions and decimals. And if you guys remember what that basically is, if you take, let's say we're going to take 1/2, and if I were to do 7/10, and I were to do, let's just say 1/4. And there's two different ways to do this that we talked about in class. The first way, if you wanted to see which one was greater than or less than, so they asked us to write it from least, all right, to greatest. I want to show you the first way we could turn all of these into decimals, all right. And the way how you turn 1/4 into a decimal is that the number 1 falls inside the house, all right. So what actually happens is that number 1 is going to fall inside. Then you're going to add your decimal point in the 0, just like we did when we were dividing by decimals. You're going to bring your decimal point right on up, and now you have 4 divided by 10, which would be 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. Bring down another 2, and 4 goes in 25 times. 5 times 4 is 20, and then there you go. 1/4 is now 0.25, all right, or 25/100ths. Take a look at 1/2, do the same sort of operation. 2 falls inside of the house. Let me just erase this here so that you guys can see what's going on. I don't want to confuse you with all these numbers. All right. 2, add your decimal point, bring it up. 2 goes into 10. 5 times 2 is 10. And then you get 0. Okay. So if I were to turn all of these fractions into decimals, remember I started off with 1/2, which is now 0.5. I have 0.7, and I have 0.25. All right. So obviously, if you take a look at these fractions here, excuse me, these decimals here, there's quite a few things that are obvious to you. The first that should be obvious to you is the fact that this decimal point, all right, these numbers behind it is 2, it's 1, and it's 1. I need to sort of make this even. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm actually going to take a 0, right? I'm going to put it there, and I'm also going to put it there. So that way they all have 2 numbers behind a decimal point. Now it looks so much easier if I would do from least to greatest. 0.25, 0.50, and then 0.70. So that's one way in which you could turn all of your fractions into decimals. And then just make sure that they all have the same exact digits behind the decimal point, and that way you can compare them that way. So let's just say there's another way in which we talked about as well doing. We'll take the same fractions, 1/2, 0.7, and 1/4. And I talked about changing the decimal into a fraction. So you could take that 0.7, it's going to be 7/10. You can watch your earlier video, it'll tell you how to turn a decimal.
Come see me.
Miss Taylor. How to turn a decimal into a fraction. So what you would do, that would just be 7/10. And then you just do your cross multiplication, all right, diagonal. 2 times 7 is 14. 10 times 1 is 10. So it means I know right there that 7/10 is going to be my highest one. Okay. Now I want to take a look. I know that that fraction was actually the highest. I want to take a look at the next 2. So again, diagonal. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 1 is 4. So I know that the 4, the next one is going to be 1/2, and the lowest one is going to be 1/4. And you saw from the earlier model that we did that actually works all the time. All right, so it's not an issue. All right, so my next skill we took a look at was multiplying fractions. Very, very simple, very straightforward. If I took a look at, let's say, 4/7, we multiplied that by 3/5. All you simply do is just multiply straight across. 4 times 3 is 12. 7 times 5, 35. And I can see if I could simplify, which no, I could not. Okay? So that's one model. All you do is you multiply straight across and you're able to get the answer. See if you can simplify. If you cannot, then you just leave it alone. But there are some other interesting examples. You take a look. Let's say I were to do 3/9. Okay? Multiplied by 27, let's see, 27/30. Okay? We know we could simplify here. You would look diagonal. Okay, look diagonal. What I would actually do is 9 goes into 27 one time. 9 goes into 27 3 times. 3 and 30. The greatest common factor would be 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 30 10 times. Then you have 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 10 is 10. And you've now simplified before you multiplied. So that way it's another sort of way you could do it as well. Remember, look out for those key words where you see of, we've talked about. Okay? And sometimes it'll just say times, it'll say multiplication. So please look out for that key word you see of. Our next example we've done is multiplying mixed numbers. Excuse me. Multiplying mixed numbers. And the most key thing that you do when you multiply mixed numbers, let's just say I take 3 and 4/9, multiply, my dot means multiplication, you guys know that, okay, by 6/11. So the first step you must do before you do any of that, you must change the mixed number into an improper fraction. And how you would do that is 3 times 9 is 27 plus 4, all right, it's going to give you 31/9 multiplied by 6/11. Once you get to this step, it's doing what you normally have done. Can I cross cancel anything? Yes, I can. The 9 and the 6, all right, by 3. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 31 times 2, excuse me, is 62. 3 times 11 is 33. And can 33 go into 62? No, it cannot. So it's going to be one time. I'm going to subtract here. It's going to give me 29 over 33. And I cannot simplify. So there you are. Okay? So again, very similar way. Make sure you just change the mixed number into the improper fraction and then multiply across. The next example that we have here that we took a look at was dividing fractions. And dividing fractions is very simple. You take a look at 4/9. Now we'll divide by 1/2. That's what we talked about. Keep, change, flip. 4/9 multiplied by 2 over 1. Because I then flip my second fraction, I would just multiply across. I could not cancel anything. And I would get 8 over 9. Alright? That's how you divide fractions. If you want to take a look at a previous example that I have, very, very simplistic, not complicated at all. Alright? Next we have is dividing mixed numbers. Alright, dividing mixed numbers. And again, very, very similar. You took 2 and 3/7. You were divided by, let's say, 3 and 4/9. Same operation you must do. You can't just divide the whole numbers. No, you have to actually turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions. That is always your first step. Anytime you see mixed numbers, I got to turn them into improper fractions. 2 times 7 is 14 plus 3 is going to give you 17 over 7. Okay? I want to bring down my division sign. 9 times 3 is 27 plus 4 is 31 over 9. Once I get to this step, now I'm going to do my keep, change, flip that I have been doing for dividing fractions. It does not change. 17 over 7. I change my division to a multiplication sign, and then I flip. Now I have 9 over 31. Okay? Big number here. I cannot cross cancel anything, so I'm going to have a rather big number. And that's okay. If you have a calculator, all right, you can actually solve this problem, and then you can see if you can simplify. All right, so that's dividing mixed numbers. The last one, we'll take a look at what is if you get 3 fractions, and that's my sleep, laugh, and EAT, what we talked about in class. What that basically stands for, your start, what's left, and then divided by your each, okay? Remember when you actually do these skills, let's say if I do 1/6 minus 2/3 divided by 1/16, please make sure that you remember that you cannot subtract fractions that do not have a like denominator. So what I would like you to do for homework tonight is please solve this problem. Come in class prepared. You will see this tomorrow, all right, on the board in some form or fashion, most likely in a word problem. Tomorrow we do have a half-day, parents, so if you are watching the video with your students, please make sure that they know that they have a half-day tomorrow. We will be testing on Wednesday. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, and to be ready for that test on Wednesday. Any questions, please leave comments below. All right, Mr. Williams here. See you guys later.